All right, this continues lesson 2.5. This is the second activity called Does Ashley's Car Have Gas? All right, let's take a look at what we got here. So Ashley bought a new car and wants to have a good understanding of how it performs. Starting with a full tank of gas, Ashley recorded the number of miles she had driven and the gallons of gas remaining in her tank. Now, Ashley wants to use this data to determine how often she will need to fill up for regular driving and for long trips. The data is shown in the scatter plot on the next slide. All right, so let's have a look, see what we got here. And we can see we've got definitely got some negative correlation here, which would seem pretty obvious actually if you think about it. How much gas you have in the car, the further you travel, obviously you're going to have less gas because it's going to get burnt up. So that would make sense for this one. And it does ask you to think about what questions you might want to ask. One obvious question for me is, how far can you actually drive on a full tank of gas? Like I can see this is going downwards, but unfortunately, I don't have enough space here to figure out what that last number is. So that might be a question I would want to ask. I'd also want to know perhaps what is my miles per gallon for this car. So that might be something we could possibly think about as well. Or if you're traveling, say, 1,000 miles, how many times do you need to stop? Because you might want to factor that in. You can certainly type in on Google Maps things like the distance to travel, but it doesn't tell you how long the stops are. So that might be something to consider as well. All right, so let's see what we got to do for this. First of all, we've got to get our line of best fit. So first of all, I know this is negative. Just looking at this picture here, I can see that the y-intercept is going to be between 15 and 20. This looks like 18 and 19, so kind of looks like it's going to be somewhere in the middle. I'm going to put 18.5. Certainly not wrong to put 18 or 19 at this point, and then I can start changing this. So I know this is going to be negative slope. And then I can start trying to find what's the best slope I can get for this one. Now, the problem I have with this one is, and a lot of students are doing this, they try to match these first 5 points up, but then kind of miss the last points on the end here. So this one I wouldn't consider a particularly good line of best fit, because although these points are good, my remaining 7 points are all above the line, and you really want to try and get equal numbers of each. So I could certainly change this to perhaps that. But then I have the opposite problem. Now I got 7 points below the line. So this is certainly not perfect. What I could do, of course, is I can actually change what my slope is. Perhaps I want to go somewhere right in the middle like this. And then now these first few points are good. I got one above, one below, one above, one below, and two above, which is a far more better balance. So that's certainly one suggestion you could do for trying to do this. Like I said, I don't think everyone necessarily went with 18.5. There is a way to find out what the correct best line of best fit is, but we'll talk about that in Unit 3. What is your estimate for the y-intercept? Well, I said it was 18.5. It could easily be 19, though. What does this mean in the context of this problem? This is one that students are still having difficulty with. So we're looking here what the y-intercept is. But notice that the y-intercept, that means that the x value is 0. Now, I did notice that this is missing, and I do need to say what this one is. This is actually how many miles there are per gallon. Sorry, how many miles the trip actually is. So this would actually tell us how much gas do we have at basically distance 0. So in other words, when Ashley is at home, or it might be just after she's filled up the car with gas at the actual gas station. So I'm just filling in the 18.5 here. I apologize. I'm getting all my little updates here at the same time. All right. I'm not sure if they come through on the Zoom or not. What is your estimate of the slope? Well, I ended up with negative 0.035. And we got to think about what does this actually mean? Well, something's going down in this question. We talked about it right at the start. It's actually how much gas is going down. We're looking at the Y values here. So this is how many gallons of gas remaining in the tank. That's what's going down. So the gallons of gas left. And this is per mile. So every mile that I travel, that's how much less gas I have in. Now, you might think that's a small number, but that's good. You wouldn't want it to lose a gallon for every mile you traveled, or else you'd be filling up very frequently indeed. Now, there is a way of actually figuring out what the miles per gallon is based on this one. If I was to divide 1 by 0.035, that's just how much it's going down by. The negative shows you it's going down. I just want to know how much it's going down by. You can actually see it's about 29 miles per hour here, 29 miles per gallon, sorry, if you were to round up. So that's what the slope would tell you for this question. And this one here. If Ashley has a full tank of gas and drove to her brother's house that is 200 miles away, how much gas would she have? So this is where we've got to go back to the original question here. And then we're going to take a reading here. So we're going to go to 200 miles driven, and we're going to go up to the line, and we're going to click on it. Now, I'm deliberately not going to get this perfect. I'm going to go slightly to the side here. So as I click, you can see it says 202. So now I've just got to move this. So I'm using my mouse. Oh, I had it moved off it. Let me try one more time. There. So at 200 miles, it says 11.5 gallons of gas left. Now, also, we've got to be very careful as we're taking readings here as well. So if the question said it was 10 miles left, we have to know that that means 10 miles on the x-axis and read up here. Because there were times when students were going to the wrong section and then taking the wrong reading. So just make sure you're paying attention to, is it the x value or the y value that you're using? So how much would she have left? 11.5. Now, 11.5, and I should use the unit here as well, gallons. Now, the follow-up question is, does Ashley have enough gas to make it home, or should she fill up again? Explain your reasoning. So my reasoning for this is, if I started with 18.5 gallons of gas, and I now have 11.5 gallons of gas, that means that I used 7 gallons of gas for this trip. So if I'm just driving to some place and I'm driving back again, it's probably going to be about the same amount of mileage, the same amount of gas usage on the way back. So if I have 11.5 gallons left and the trip only took 7, I think it's fairly safe to assume that, yes, you can make it back for that reason. Now, some people's lines were slightly different to this, and they ended up with answers of like they used 9 gallons of gas and they had 10 gallons left. And some people did say for that, yes, I have enough, but I might just want to fill up just to make sure I get home in case I get caught in traffic. Or perhaps on the way there, perhaps it's all downhill, so it's easier to do. And on the way back, it's all uphill. So that might be a consideration to think about as well as you're answering those questions. But the answer should definitely be yes for that question. That was it for that second question. So we'll pause this. And there is going to be another video that looks at another problem if you want to see it. But these are the 2 problems that we covered in class. We covered the In-N-Out burger, and we covered the does Ashley have enough gas for her car.